Hey everyone, the manly Stanley Stanpai here with a recap and analysis for the Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct that happened on January 18th, 2017. Despite just having the Nintendo Switch event last week, Nintendo already deemed it appropriate to have a Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct. Now, this says a lot about Nintendo's stance on the series, and I'll talk more a bit about that later, but first, let's recap what happened during this presentation, as well as what some of the things meant. So, right off the bat, we're introduced to a new Fire Emblem title, seemingly new, by Yuri Lowenthal. Now, Yuri Lowenthal already has a history with the Fire Emblem series, so having that actor for the narration of this particular video is a pretty cool detail. In fact, he stayed on through the entire Direct. With that said, having such a seasoned actor behind them, Nintendo went ahead and introduced a game that we didn't necessarily see coming. And that game is Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, which turned out to be a remake of another Fire Emblem game from long ago. Now, when I thought about talking about this game, it occurred to me that rather than have me talk about it, I think it'd be more beneficial for everyone to hear from a very specific and special person, someone who is a dear friend of mine and knows just about everything there is to know about Fire Emblem as a franchise. And that friend of mine is FighterForHisFriends. So take it away, Fighter. Tell us about this new Fire Emblem title.
Hey guys, FighterForHisFriends here. So you want to know about Fire Emblem Echoes Shadow of Valentia. Okay, so one thing, first obvious thing. It is a remake, remaster, remix of Fire Emblem Gaiden. So that's kinda a weird choice. Like, basically, Fire Emblem Gaiden is kind of the most forgotten in the entire series. There's not really much stuff out there about it. There wasn't a lot of art. There wasn't a lot of really anything. It just kind of came out and was there. Fire Emblem really wasn't a big deal. It just came and it was there. It takes place when Marth and Pals are doing stuff, and Est, I think, shows up. I've actually never played it. Try as I might, and I own the game, I've never actually played it. But, so what it's looking like so far is it's just story of Gaiden, maps of Gaiden, but, with what we've come to know in modern Fire Emblem, My Castle, overworld map, etc., etc. Which, Gaiden has some of that, so guess it's like a return to form, but with some more stuff. But man, weird choice, but I'm excited to see what happens, and so far all the Fire Emblem remakes have been really good, so I'm excited. Alright, back to you, Stan.
Thanks, Fighter. So as he said quite a few times, it was rather unusual for them to pick this particular Fire Emblem game. My take on it is they're probably continuing with the whole idea of relaunching every Fire Emblem title from back in the old days. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon did come out on the Nintendo DS, so we're already a generation later, if not two, with the new 3DS. So seeing this title kind of tells me that Nintendo is ready to take the plunge on another Fire Emblem remake, building it from the ground up, as John mentioned, and of course having this overall new experience for players, especially in the American region, who never had the chance to play it. My expectation is that based on the success of this title, the series will continue to get more and more remakes. So that's something to look forward to if you're a fan of Fire Emblem, which I'm sure many people watching this video are. So with that said, after doing all of that with the Fire Emblem Gaiden remake, they went ahead and announced right off the bat there's also a Nintendo Switch Fire Emblem title in development that's coming out in 2018. They don't say any details about what it is, but just that it exists, and it's the first time they're coming back to console since Path of Radiance, which came out on the Wii. So the next thing they talked about was a continuation of something they showed back at the Switch event, which was Fire Emblem Musou. It is a Dynasty Warriors-esque game, a Warriors game, in which you can expect Fire Emblem characters to go to war with hundreds, if not thousands, of troops on the battlefield. They showed an extended version of the clip they showed at the Switch trailer, and with that said, I felt like it was kind of out of character to see Chrom massacring hundreds of people, just because Chrom doesn't seem like that kind of guy. He's awfully friendly, But with that said, that's something to look forward to. Apprehensively wondering, is this going to be a Fire Emblem Awakening focused game, or is this going to be a game that focuses on Fire Emblem as a whole? With the Awakening crowd being so popular even now, it's something that's definitely worth looking into in the future, and keeping an eye open for. With that said, They then spent the rest of the presentation talking on a brand new concept that was actually teased back when Pokemon Go was released. They said that a few different games were getting mobile games as well, including Mario, Animal Crossing, and Fire Emblem. So we finally got to see just what the Fire Emblem title was in this brand new title, Fire Emblem Heroes. Fire Emblem Heroes is a mobile game in which players take control of several different Fire Emblem characters from the many generations of Fire Emblem games. Similar to something like Final Fantasy Record Keeper, you have access to a long list of different Fire Emblem heroes that you can use in battle. You unlock these characters through a bunch of different means that I'll talk about in a moment, but the idea is that you go through this original storyline using the Fire Emblem characters that you've summoned as your personal heroes. So it's kind of like a collection game with Fire Emblem characters. With that said, your battles take place on an 8x6 grid, so you have sort of fast-paced tactical action. It's something that's meant for smartphones and mobile devices, exclusively for smartphones actually, iOS and Android. So with that said, it's something to expect people to be able to download. And as for how you unlock your characters, which is kind of like the key takeaway here, and how Nintendo makes their money, the game gives you opportunities to unlock characters by using these items called orbs. They're just orbs. They're your currency to buy more characters. With that said, you can get orbs by playing or by using real-world currency in microtransactions. So that's the source of their revenue. They also seem to be having different events where you can get a specific hero that you have to fight against, and if you defeat them, they join your side, much like done in Fire Emblem Awakening, Street Pass, and so on. So that's a really interesting take on how to do a mobile version of Fire Emblem that's not on a traditional Nintendo platform. So when it comes to the overall plot of this game, to me, it honestly, not to draw out more Final Fantasy comparisons, but it seems like the plot is fairly similar to Dissidia Final Fantasy, where you have two warring sides, and you simply take people from both different factions, right, good and evil, and whatever you call it. They're going to be fighting on your side or on the other side, and you're going to be just going at it by summoning these heroes, much like you were able to do in Awakening in the Outrealms. So it's really cool. I think it's an awesome thing to have for Fire Emblem fans, especially for all generations. The character art that they use spans all different kinds of artists, so you can see differences in the styles across different Fire Emblem games. You can get duplicates of characters, and they'll have different stats and whatnot. So it's definitely going to be like a collecting game, and this game actually launches not too far from now. Specifically, Fire Emblem Heroes launches on February 2nd, which is very soon. It's less than a month away. And right now they're doing a contest where you can vote for which hero you want to make like an event character that can be added to your party. So that's really cool too. That's something you can vote online for. With that said, in terms of release dates, the other games I mentioned coming out on May 19th, we do have the remake for Fire Emblem Gaiden, Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadow of Valentia, and coming out later this year in fall of 2017 is Fire Emblem Warriors. So we have a pretty nice year of Fire Emblem ahead. As far as what that says about Nintendo's franchises, well, I mentioned in the beginning, it seems like Nintendo really takes Fire Emblem seriously now. After the success of Awakening, it completely revamped the franchise's presence around the world. And what was originally going to be the last swan song of the game's franchise became its platform to be reborn as a now vastly popular series. So with that said, it's interesting to see how things have changed. What used to be things like Star Fox, F-Zero, and Metroid, right? We've gotten a new Star Fox, but F-Zero and Metroid have been sort of left behind in lieu of an opportunity to make Fire Emblem big again. And so that's a really interesting twist, but that seems to be what Nintendo's strategy is. So as far as main flagship titles, it really does seem like Fire Emblem has cemented its place in Nintendo's library. If you want a proper video game experience on Nintendo platforms, chances are you're going to have a lot of opportunities to play something that has Fire Emblem in the title. So that says a lot about Nintendo's future movement. Just the fact that they had a completely separate Nintendo Direct this soon to announce Fire Emblem related content is a pretty big deal. It says enough about the franchise that, when you look at other games that have had Nintendo Directs, it says they're really putting a lot into this particular franchise. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed my take on the Nintendo Direct for Fire Emblem. Please let me know what you thought of everything as far as content goes from the Nintendo Direct, what you think of the upcoming Fire Emblem games. Also, please, if you have not already, do check out FighterForHisFriends' Fire Emblem blog as well as his own YouTube channel. Thank you so much, John, for joining us for this particular video. and sharing your endless Fire Emblem knowledge. If there's anybody who knows Fire Emblem, it's you, buddy. So with that said, I'm the Manly Stanley Stanpai, and thank you for watching. Hey everyone, Stanpai here. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, please feel free to check out some of my other gaming opinion videos over here. And if you'd like to check out some other content, things like voice work or other kinds of media that I have here on my channel, go ahead and just look around. There's plenty of different things to choose from for all sorts of kinds of audiences, be it gaming, anime, or just voice acting fans. Thank you so much for your support. Once again, this is the Manly Stanley Stanpai, and I would not be able to be doing what I'm doing without your tremendous support. So thank you very much. I hope to see you again.